Science. We always use it, in our house, in our school, in all our life, but we never ask ourselves what science is. And it is a fact that we are all made up of science. All of us can be explained using science, but we cannot say that we are made of science, because science is not a thing. It is an organized way to collect all the knowledge that scientists have been discovering throughout the years about natural phenomena. And all these things science studies are the ones that we are made of. Now that we know what science is, we also have to know how it works, don't we? All science is called like this because it is based in the scientific methodology, the heart of science. And this process is based in the steps of the scientific method that involves observing and asking questions, making inferences and forming hypotheses, conducting controlled experiments, collecting and analyzing data, and drawing conclusions. Processes then can be understood by knowing some of its meanings. For example, observation is the act of noticing and describing events in an orderly way. Process that is involved in the observing and asking questions. Then, we have the hypothesis, that is a scientific explanation for a set of observations and can be supported or rejected. In order to prove hypotheses, we have to set controlled experiments, where one variable is changed, called independent variable, and one variable is responding to the independent variable, called the dependent variable. To have conclusive results, we have to expose one group to the variable changes, called the experimental group, but we also have to compare it with other group in regular conditions, called the control group. From these comparisons, we will obtain qualitative, stands for characteristics, or quantitative, stands for numbers, data. To collect data, we have to use research tools and calculate the sources of error. Once we have analyzed this data, we have to conclude whether the hypothesis was rejected or accepted. If it is rejected, then we have to do another hypothesis, and if it is accepted, then it can be grouped with other hypotheses into a theory. In order to have good discoveries in science, scientists have to show some attitudes to help them throughout the science journey, that we can unite in 4 attitudes: curiosity to spark new questions, skepticism to correct science, open-mindedness to accept new discoveries, and creativity to design experiments. And all of the science actions are related to technology and society. When a scientific work is done, peer review helps to evaluate each other's work and avoid bias, a personal point of view rather than scientific. Now that we know what science involves, we need to know what science we're studying. In this case, biology, the study of life, where we collect all the knowledge we have about living organisms. But right now, we're going to talk about living things' characteristics. First, life is based in a universal genetic code called DNA. Living things grow and develop, respond to stimulus, are made up of cells, evolve, maintain a stable internal environment, use materials and energy, and finally reproduce. These characteristics are the most representative characteristics of living things. Some of these characteristics also have been shown up as big ideas in biology that resume some interlocking concepts. For example, the biosphere, the place we all live, in Earth. But once we know what biology is, we have to know its different fields or divisions that study specific things. Like ecology studies the relation on nature, biotechnology studies the addition of genetic material. Scientists are also trying to unite all forms of life in the tree of life. The trace of diseases is studied on ecology and evolution of infectious diseases, and genomics and molecular biology study DNA and cells. To end with the basic things in science, we have to know that in science we have to follow some special rules in order to assure safety. And in school, the basic rule and most important rule is to follow the teacher's indications to stay safe. Now that we know most of the things science involves, we can go out and start discovering all the things that the natural world offers us.